So the biggest official announcement since probably Killer Instinct from Arcade1Up is here, and this news was broken by Gaming Trend. Not a site I'm familiar with, but it looks legitimate enough. This does seem to be official. Arcade1Up didn't mention this announcement on their Twitter, which I found kind of odd. However, I am taking this as a legitimate announcement, but let's look at what we get. Miss Pac-Man Galaga Class of 81. So I called this recently that I was very surprised they hadn't given us a Class of 81 yet. Well, I spoke just literally a few days too soon because here it is. And it looks pretty nice. One thing is missing. I mean, you could argue the Class of 81 logo on the front. It's a little tacky, but I love how they did the kick plate. It looks a lot like the original 81 kick plate. Very nice design. There doesn't seem to be a coin door here. Of course, the real Class of 81, being a real commercial arcade machine, had a coin door. And Arcade1Up's been doing coin doors lately. I don't know why they give stuff with their designs and then take it away later. I think this design would only be improved by a coin door right here in the center. No idea why we don't get it, but I am excited to see it. And it comes with Wi-Fi, so that's going to be a theme in this series of announcements, is that Wi-Fi does look like it maybe is finally becoming standard, which is very exciting. Presumably this will have high score tracking, although we don't know that yet, but if they took the time to put in Wi-Fi, I would think they would have high scores. Now let's look at the games list. The games list looks pretty dope. Galaga 88 was the first thing that stood out to me. Rompers, I know a lot of you like that game. Not a game I've played, but I know many of my viewers enjoy that game, so I'm glad it's included. We get Rally X, we get Mappy, Dig Dug. Very nice games list. Here's another close-up picture. Now, if this is a real photo or a render, I'm not sure. I'm guessing it's just a render. But again, I think the cabinet looks pretty good. But let's get down to the next one. So this was broken by Toycade like 2 months ago. This Street Fighter II Big Blue. Turns out it was legitimate, and turns out the design was legitimate. And again, no coin door. I don't get it. They did the coin doors with the legacy cabinets. I know it's just a decal. They did the 3D molded coin doors with Simpsons, right? We saw that in that announcement. But then you get to these, they're marquee products that are presumably going to be pretty expensive, and there's no coin door. I really don't get it. We also don't get a Boss style control panel. A little disappointed by that. However, in the good news category, the control panel is tilted downward, at least in this render. And you guys know these designs change, so we cannot assume this is the final design, but it is nice to see that control panel tilted downward, akin to original arcade hardware. Some people have complained that this is too tall and narrow. Rexer on the Rexer show not too long ago kind of had, I thought, a pretty funny rant about that. You know, and he's right. It is awkward. It is awkwardly proportioned. I'm not going to be too mad about that, because if you have a lot of Arcade1Ups, to have them fit basically the same proportions is okay. The fact that they're all basically the same width, yeah, the height varies a little bit. I think that's okay. It makes for a clean looking game room. However, not everybody collects Arcade1Ups. Some people have original arcade hardware, or they have a Legends Ultimate or whatever, and then they want to buy these products, and suddenly the consistency doesn't matter. And yeah, they probably should have done more for the Big Blue to make it stand out. But you do get that nice marquee. You do get the speaker placement, presumably right here, loud and proud. So I don't know. I'm not too mad about this cabinet. I would really like to see a coin door. I'd like to have seen a Boss style control panel, but let's look at the games list. It does have a light up marquee too, which you would have expected, but this is a giant non-standard marquee, so I wouldn't have been surprised if it had just been MDF board. Thankfully, it's not. Does come with a stool. I think that's the theme we're seeing. That's a tricky one, because not everybody wants a stool, but you know how it is. Different retailers will probably have different versions of this hardware without the stool. Hopefully that's the case. Almost 70 inches tall, so that's pretty cool. This thing's going to look imposing in the old game room. So we get Street Fighter II Champion, we get Hyper Fighting, we get Turbo, we get Puzzle Fighter. Nice, finally Puzzle Fighter. Darkstalkers, awesome. We get Darkstalkers Revenge. That's the first time Arcade1Up has had that game. So the Capcom 12-in-1 cabinet before did have Darkstalkers, which was, I thought, a nice addition. I'm glad to see they're doing more with it. Darkstalkers 3, very, very cool. Saturday Night Slam Masters, Knights of the Round, not a game I'm familiar with. Eco Fighters, Capcom Sports Club, Muscle Boomer Duo. So there's a lot of variety here. So for anyone who's complained about the variety of the titles that you get on a lot of these 12-in-1 cabinets, myself included, by the way, this looks to be the answer for that. I'm very, very happy to see we're getting Super Puzzle Fighter. Very cool stuff. This game might sell on the games list. I do think they made some mistakes with the design. I really do. I think they could have done more with the Big Blue just to make it more special. However, let's be honest, the original Big Blue was kind of ugly too. I know it's super iconic. It's not the most beautiful cabinet. So maybe that's all right. Let me know what you think in the comments on this one, because this is going to be a divisive cabinet. But I'm very excited to see all these Darkstalkers titles. The next one, to me, is a little less exciting. It's Turtles in Time. Now, let's look at this. For one, we're just getting the original 2 titles that we already got in the TMNT Arcade 1-Up cabinet. However, it is in the new shell that they're using for the 4-player cabinet, and that means coin doors. The new cutout side panels, which I think look nice and better mimic the original Konami 4-player machines. Overall, I think the cabinet looks great. I tend to prefer the original TMNT artwork over Turtles in Time. That's just my preference. You know, there's nothing wrong with this artwork. I'm sure this cabinet will look great in person. It comes with Wi-Fi, so we know that. But let's snuff out any rumors that this comes with Shredder's Revenge. Because, guys, if Arcade 1-Up was ever going to do a brand new title like that, they would lead with that title. They wouldn't bury it in a cabinet that has artwork from a title they've already released, which is Turtles in Time. So I think this looks good. I really wish we were getting these coin doors ported over to these other arcade machines, probably especially the class of 81. It's like they hire different designers to do different cabinets, and they don't work together, and then they just like don't have email or Slack or something, and they couldn't possibly communicate with each other to create design standards. I don't understand it. But overall, in my opinion, I think these are kind of exciting. Let's take a look at this sentence, though, for pricing. While pricing details were unavailable for any of these items at the time of writing, I've been told Arcade 1-Up plans on sticking to their current scale of $2.99 to $5.99, depending on the product, features, and retailer. Well, $5.99 is news to me if we're not talking about pinball. So that tells me that some of these are probably going to be $5.99, but it also tells me, because these other media announcements have had the same theme, no hard news about pricing. It tells me Arcade 1-Up has not finalized pricing. I suspect what we read in those catalogs with the leaks, I suspect what we've read in any number of videos, posts, and these kind of media outlet pieces about pricing, these are speculation, or these are maybe tentative pricing. My guess is Arcade 1-Up is scrambling behind the scenes to get their pricing down. If they're smart, they take a look at the rising cost of materials, and they'd go to their licensors and they'd say, guys, the economics of this business have changed. We need to reduce the licensing cost a little bit. And I say if they're smart, but really if the licensors are smart, because they're going to want a lot of these units to sell. They're going to want this to be a sustainable business. They might need to take just a little bit of a pay cut. Arcade 1-Up might need to take just a little bit of a pay cut. And we all as consumers might have to pay a little bit more. But there is an upper limit on how much people will pay this year, I think. And I tend to think it's that $600 price point. And I think they're going to do what they can to avoid it. I mean, if you look at the comments on my last video, there's tons of people angry about $600. And I don't really blame you. I mean, I kind of see both sides of it, but $600 is difficult to justify for this quality of hardware. So that's what I've got for you today. I want to hear in the comments what you think. You willing to pay $600? Are these cabinets exciting? Why in God's name can they not standardize on these cabinet designs with simple things like coin doors? Does Big Blue look cool? Is the games list awesome? The answer to that question is yes, this games list is awesome. Or is it atrociously ugly? It has these weird disjointed side panels. In Class of 81, I know a lot of you are going to buy this, but a lot of us already have Galaga and Miss Pac-Man. So what do you think about that? Thanks for watching, guys. Hit the subscribe button. We will have more information this week, and I'll talk to you soon. Big shout out to all of my channel members. If you want to join Unqualified Critics, hit the red button below that says join, and thank you for watching.